now that it's 4:01, speaking of that, so we have Chrissy Baker, which is really cool. So one of the things we're doing with the ADHD agents coaching community is helping bring opportunity, leadership stuff, all kinds of stuff. And then just there's really cool people in our group that have really important messages. And Chrissy is one of those. And she's the first person we're having. And I'm excited for you to hear everything she has to say and for us to have this conversation. So the agenda for it is um, it's going to be a little bit conversational. It's not going to be super scripted. That is my style. And that's going to be kind of the feel of it. So the first thing I want to do is well, just kind of have her share her background, and so you get to know her a little bit. So I'm gonna pass that over to you, Chrissy, if you want to share who you are and some of the cool things you've done, and yeah.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity, Tyler. Thank you so much. I am Chrissy Baker. I'm with the Keller Williams Market Center #1 in Austin. And I have been in a solo agent since 2019. I started out with Keller Williams. I'll kind of do recent past. If anybody knows Holly Prescott, I worked alongside her and helped her build some of her training businesses in the Carolinas, and then we expanded to with Bev Steiner on the West Coast, and then with Mark Olish and the South Florida region, and then I also assisted her with building up Business by the Book. And she is an amazing mentor, and she really insisted that I go through real estate school and get my real estate license. And I left Holly to work with Papasan Properties Group. I guess I started with them in 2018 and went solo in 2019. That's kind of like the most recent experience with real estate and with Keller Williams. And but really, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a radio DJ and wanted to be on the air and doing all things radio. And so as a teenager, I pursued that hard and fast and had, 13 or 14 years in radio and television, and got my degree in broadcasting from University of Miami. And I got my very first job out of college was with NBC Miami. And that business is exactly as you think it is. They will chew you up and spit you out. And I had rapid success at a very young age, but experienced burnout, like just pretty epic burnout. So a client of mine hired me to do mortgage, title, and real estate to help him build his businesses. And it's kind of how I already had a taste for real estate getting into 2018. But the advantage for me is that I have all of this experience in marketing and advertising, and have done, have been educated in consumer habits and script writing and all of these things that have really lended itself to some of the marketing that I've done for my real estate clients. So, and even in this short time being as a solo agent in real estate, it's been a long and winding road, especially when you start out in Keller Williams with Papasan Properties Group. And if you guys know Jay and Wendy, Jay helped write some of these books that we study. And, and Wendy being sort of an extension of a lot of that, of the Keller Williams teachings and practices. We lived those things. Like, we lived the things that were taught in MREA and in Shift and in the One Thing. Like we operated in that way. And I will say that there's a very good reason that I'm a solo agent now. So, and we can talk a little bit more about that.
And what you mentioned, like Jay Papasan, right? The Papasan Property Group, because you've been around some very big names, and you've been in some rooms that most people have never been in, or may not be, may not choose to be, right? And when you were doing with Holly Prescott, she's a big deal, right? She spent time with the CEO of KW. I mean, a lot of different things. An incredible trainer, and then Papasan Property Group, Jay Papasan co-wrote, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the Shift book, the One Thing book, which are all staples no matter which firm you're with. And so we had a conversation when we talked about, because I've been in some of those rooms too, of like, what is actually fulfilling, right? Like, what is actually enough? Because we've been in rooms of some of the top agents in the country, and so that's why this is important, right? Because it doesn't have to be this grind where let me have the most amount of sales possible. It's like what matters, and we're going to get a little bit more into that. So easy lead generation. Why did you choose this topic, and why does it matter to you?
Gosh, it matters to all of us, really. It really matters to all of us, and it was a matter of like how, I come from like you said, being around all of these really big names and people that really live their business by the book. And and the reason why they do that is because it works. And, you look at Wendy Papasan and a lot of the other mega agents, they use that. Even Holly Prescott teaches it, that it's your manual for your business. And, I've been to Mega Camp and Family Reunion and sat in all of these rooms. And so coming from the broadcasting arena and having just tremendous rapid success at a very young age.
You were a big deal. I don't think people, I mean, you were a big honking deal. You're a prodigy.
Well, my 27-year-old brain thought I was a pretty big deal. I'm not sure I feel that way so much now. And the, what it all came down to is I experienced burnout also at a very young age, and in a pretty epic way, where I was striving for all of the things that I thought that I should strive for. And I was reaching for all the things that the world told me that, those are the things that you go for. And I had it all. I had it all before age 30. And it was the empty bag. And when you are holding the empty bag that everybody is seemingly competing for, the emptiness is just overwhelming. And then you're like, okay, well, now what? And so you try something else, you go do something else, and that doesn't work. And then you do something else, and that you try that, and that doesn't work. And so you go, it's that's what burnout looks like, by the way. And then unless that is dealt with on some level, it carries into other things. So I've carried all of that into the start of working with Keller Williams as an agent and on Papasan Properties Group. And, I was headed in that direction because I was living business by the book, like MREA. And in its essence, it just really wasn't me. And I was pursuing all of the things that I thought I should pursue because that's what everybody else was pursuing. And that just really and truly in its essence, it wasn't me. So when we talk about the, lead gen, leads, listings, and leverage, right? Those are the three corners of the triangle. And generating leads in the traditional sense, where people go to networking groups, and we had a lot of those with Papasan Properties Group. And they're not, they're great for some people, in chamber events and, like big charity events and all that sort of thing. Those are great for some people. But for me, I'm like, I just have come to realize I'm much more of an introvert than I ever knew that I even understood. And I would get anxiety, like almost paralyzing anxiety when I would, before walking into any of those rooms. And the result of that is I couldn't network. I would go into these rooms and I would latch on to the one person that I could connect with on somewhat of an intimate level, because I don't do the small talk stuff like that. Just small talk is exhausting to me. And I would latch onto the one person and I would wear them out. Like they were like, oh my God, get this girl away from me. Because I would just wear them out. Not everybody likes to communicate on that level. And in those big rooms, you have, in order to meet as many people as possible and make the most of that opportunity, you have to make a bunch of small talk with a lot of different people. And that just wasn't who I am. But I was thinking that's how I needed to do things. And oh my word, you want to talk about not wanting to get out of bed. Because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, so I've got to go do a bold 100, or I've got to do, make my 100 contacts this week, or I'm a dismal failure. And how am I going to, what are my numbers going to look like? And all of these sort of paralyzing conversations. And who wants to get out of bed for that? That for me is really hard.
Especially because what you touched on is and I've seen this too, is if I hit 100 units, then I'm going to feel good about myself, or then I'm going to feel like I made it. And then you hit that, and like you said, the empty bag, it's like, oh, well, it didn't fill that hole. Okay, now I'm going to hit 200 units. I mean, you can keep going. We were doing 300 units a year, and there was this moment where I was on stage with Gary and Jay Papasan, right? 14,000 people, I think. And everybody wants to be on stage and be interviewed. And I remember so excited. I walk off and I'm walking down this hallway by myself. I'm like, oh my God, the emptiness is still there. The hole is still there. It hasn't been filled. And so we had that conversation, when we talked about that. And so when you got into your real estate business, you knew that going in. It's not about doing more and more. It's about quality. It's about loving what you do. It's about enjoying your life. And like you said, it's hard to get out of bed for something that if you keep chasing this rabbit, it's not going to fulfill you. It's not going to fill that. So of course you're not going to want to get out of bed.
Yeah, and here's the other thing is that there's a very subtle, I would call it even sneaky. There's this sneaky conversation that you could have with yourself if you're surrounded by, let's just use family reunion as an example. If you're at family reunion and you're surrounded by all these other agents that you think are, these mega agents, and they're doing all of these, they're living business by the book and they're doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing, then it's your dirty secret that you're not doing those things, and there's something wrong with you then. And then what? It's like, well, oh my gosh, there's so much shame and it's completely unspoken. It is a completely subtle internal dialogue that is just, it just will sap every ounce of motivation. And then you start looking well, what's wrong with me? I'm smart people like me, like, what's wrong with me that I'm not growing a business like that? Like, why am I not? And I mean, I had conversations with Holly. I'm like, what is wrong with me that I am not, that I'm not headed in that direction? So we talk about like, why is this call even important? The reason why it's important is because, it has been a journey for me to get dialed into like who I am, and then run my business that's in complete alignment with who I am, and stop chasing after the matrices that are set by other people, and let my own standard be mine. And I think that would be like the nugget here. We've got some slides to go through too, but like that's the golden nugget here, that if I could say something that would make a difference for everybody, it's that, the beauty of real estate is that we are given the keys to our own kingdom, and you get to say how your business is going to go. You are, and I'm saying this to everybody out there that is watching on Zoom or on Facebook, or will watch this later. You are the greatest gift to this world, like who you are. And to pretend or to be somebody else, or to pursue something that somebody else says that you should be doing, if it's not authentically you, then it will wear you down. And it's really important to operate your business from the most authentic place of who you are.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And then you'll have more energy, because it is so tiring to be someone else. It's so exhausting to be fake every day. That's where, if you're getting on, phone or doing lead gen in the morning, and you have like a call voice or a phone voice or a lead gen voice, that's exhausting. How could you reach out and be yourself? Because it's not going to take the same amount of willpower, and we talked about this too, Chrissy, right before, just fluidity of how you're presenting yourself and who you are around your family and your friends is very similar to your clients. And when you're on camera, and when you're in professional settings, I mean, we'll still have boundaries. You'll have different boundaries, and you might present things a little bit differently so people can receive it. And how do you get that fluidity? Because being yourself is so important. And what's really neat about Chrissy is this year's been a hard year for a lot of people. I mean, that's not negative. That's not limiting belief. We got to give some credit to this market and not just blame. I know people blame themselves. This is a weird, long time. I coach huge teams, and very few are in a rhythm because things are always changing, and there's different news and all kinds of stuff. And when you shifted to a more authentic style, Chrissy, you will do double at least this year than you did last year. And this is the year that most people are doing less. And so you're proving it. And I want to hear more about that.
Yeah. And that's something else. Like I was talking with my broker a couple of days ago, and I cannot believe it. I truly cannot believe it. And I guess when we get to, why is this important, is because I feel like this is the nugget. This is the big nugget. And the thing that I think will make the most difference for everybody in everybody's business, no matter what your goals are.
And you went, so your sales were, how many closings did you have last year? So I'm going to pause, right? I've seen this in people. It's like, if the sales aren't a certain amount, it's like, oh, why should people listen? Or like there's an embarrassment or something like that. And what I've told Chrissy is, like it's not about, like, your sales don't say something about you or not. They're just numbers, right? So you could have somebody that prioritizes family and health, and then their numbers are lower, and then what? So a lot of us, and I'm not saying Chrissy does this, this is remind me, a lot of us can allocate the respect we should get, or like our numbers say something about us instead of them just being numbers and a reflection of what choices we made. And we might have made choices that were towards family or other things. And then the other thing too is I want more people on here who aren't doing 300 units, because that's relatable. And so if you're doing 5 units, 10 units, 30 units, 50 units, you're not going to have the same strategy as someone doing 100 or 200 units because you don't have a team. It's that we got to meet people where they're at. So this is, I know you made a little like kind of face, like this is what we need. Like we need people that are actually like approachable and within reach, and this is how we go. So would you share the units you've done?
Oh, do I have to? Let me just say, let me just say, I didn't even cap. I didn't even cap.
It's okay. You did more than double. How many listings did you get this year?
Oh, I think I'll end the year at 17.
17 listings. Okay.
Maybe
17
a little bit more. I can't.
Yeah. We already have a comment. I love hearing from people who are doing regular people numbers. So that's another thing that happens in this industry. It's like, oh, we like put people on a pedestal that do a certain amount of numbers. I will tell you as a coach, there are people doing, a million in GCI per year. I would not want that life. I wouldn't want that. I would rather have the life of somebody doing 20 units. It just depends. There are some people doing a million units I would, some I wouldn't. So yeah, regular people numbers are important because yeah, look, I would kill to have 17 closings, 17 listings. I mean, so girl, I'm closing 11, but we have a higher price point. Okay, so I've asked you twice. I'm not going to ask you again. So if you really don't want to share your numbers, you don't have to. I'm going to leave it.
Well, I mean, it's good. Like this is just really great because, at the end of the day, I'm just I really am. I am just an ordinary person. I've got like my own very special combination of gifts and talents and the things that I can give to this world. But that is true of everybody. And the big turning point for me was really getting to the core of who I am and just really focusing on being that, not anybody else. And when it's really done a lot to eliminate a lot of the comparison that I was just subjecting myself to, because holy moly, you and I just talk about something that is just soul sucking, is that like comparison. And yeah, 100% it's the thief of joy. I was going to say that, but I just felt it might be a little too cliche, but it's 100. Yes. And I pick and choose what Keller Williams events I go to because, on one hand, I want to see and connect with everybody. And then on the other hand, I already know that there are mega agents out there that are doing 300 units. I really just don't like to hear about that over and over again is just really not motivating for me. It actually does the opposite. It does the opposite for me.
Yeah. I've done 300 units. I mean, there's you have a whole team that you're managing, and again, it depends, right?
Right.
Each one is hard, right? Choose your hard. You can pick and choose what you do. You can leverage a lot of stuff. You're also managing a lot of people, right? You're building building a huge real estate team is like building a pyramid of people. It's not products or systems. It's literally people. People are imperfect. Your pyramid can fall. I mean, I remember Wendy Popson had, I think, like 8 buyer's agents walk out in one day. I think she had said, so it's you don't build it and then it's good. I mean, it can be for a while. You're still managing. So it just depends. If I got into production again, I may build a big team. I might just be by myself with a really quality admin and like be really admin heavy. So let's talk about because we toyed with the title for this, right? It was like low anxiety lead gen for introverts, like all that kind of stuff. So let's go down to some of the strategies you did, because you got you shared with me you got a lot of anxiety in groups of people, like a lot, right? Just off the charts, mixing and mingling. You just dreaded it, and then you found some techniques that really worked for you. So let's hear about like the actions and some of those activities you did that worked for you and didn't trigger that anxiety.
Sure, sure. Um, so, I had to sort of, oh, and I have a slide for this, by the way. There we are. So when I was really considering where I'm going to spend my money. Okay, so can we talk about that like let's just touch on that really fast, okay?
Yeah.
So, in between 2021 and 2022, that was when the real estate market was kind of going crazy. And I think that at the end of the year, I spent close to $15,000 on leads. And, when I'm examining what's the return, the return on investment, and did I at least cover my expenses, the output? Did I make a ton of money from the investment? But then more than anything, I don't know about all of them, I can't speak for everybody else, but man, my time is valuable. And we talk about being a solo agent versus being on a mega team, or even building a mega team. My time is important to me. The reason why I do not pursue building a big team is because I don't want to spend all of my days working on real estate all the time. Certainly there will be seasons of that. There will be certainly seasons when I put in weeks of long hours. But if I'm not giving a portion of my time to the people and the causes and the organizations that matter to me, I'm empty on the inside. Like empty. Like I have got to, that is something that is that is a non-negotiable for me. So, when sort of looking at, what are the things that I need to accomplish to pay my bills more than anything, like first and foremost, pay my bills, without having to go to chamber meetings and without having to put myself in these situations where I just hate them. So I needed to figure out how can I generate leads that, where I'm meeting people that I don't know, and I am connecting with them on a more intimate level rather than on this like superficial, nonsensical, idle chit-chatty type conversations that just don't do anything for me. How do I do that? How do I meet people without that idle chit chat? That's the first thing. Knowing, and second, knowing that traditional lead gen gives me like horrible anxiety. And y'all, my neighborhood has over 2,200 homes and is still growing. So, in an ideal world, we would all like to work a little bit closer to home so we don't have to commute ever. And so I was thinking, well, how do I meet my neighbors and the people that are like right here in my community? And how do I let them know what I do? So the big thing for me, when you're not doing any business, like I would call 2023, like the year that I didn't do any business, like it hurt on the inside. I spent a lot of time in personal growth and development. I studied a lot of Jamie Winship's studies when he focuses on identity. And when I really got to the core of who am I? What is my unique combination of God-given talents, abilities, skills, passions? Who does God say that I am? That is no, like, it's a gift that I can give the world that nobody else can give. When I really got to the core of that, so I'll just say, God told me that I am a creative problem solver, storyteller, advocate. So when I really dug into that, it really gave me a lot of power to say no to anything that wasn't that. And y'all, that's huge, because suddenly I'm like laser focused in a very joyful way on the things that are totally aligned with who I am. The experience that others have of me when I'm in that zone is completely uncommon. And I will even go so far as to say that when I really stepped into who I am, that my own customers' experience of the work that I do as an agent changed. And I started hearing them, even without them knowing my identity as God would call me. I would even hear people say, wow, thank you so much for advocating for me. We really feel like you're on our side. We really feel like you're working for us. And I had always, but there was just a stronger connection with the work that I was doing to who I am. So that goes kind of hand in hand with, what is my contribution? Like, what can I contribute to my community and to others and to my clients? And that was my own very special way that I can serve others, that in a way that nobody else can. And then looking at, why do these things matter to me? Like, why does the animal shelter matter to me? Why do foster children matter to me? Why do these things matter to me? And when I was starting to get to like the heart of those things, then it kind of like opened the door to like, that's where I serve. That is where I serve. So and let's just go back to this one real fast, because where I serve this, so I was like just racking my brain on like, how do I get to meet some of these people? And also after looking at the $15,000 tab that I had racked up for my leads for 2022, I'm like, shoot, I'm never going to do that again. Because, on one hand, you get the leads, and then there's all this busy work that's associated with that. You're competing with other agents. That super sucks. And also there is an unspoken pressure to maintain that level of production so that you can feed the lead machine. Ugh. That sounds terrible. So I was like, I'm never going to spend 15 grand on leads ever again. That's a lot of money. So then I started thinking, okay, so what can I do? What can I do in 2023 when I'm not even capping? And I'm like, trying to like, I'm on a super, super tight budget. And I started looking at where did my leads come from? And there's just like this little neighborhood group of ladies that get together on one Tuesday a month, and they were having bunko night. And if I looked at the return on investment, that's like $10 to play versus like the $12.50 every month I was paying on leads, and I was having a lot of fun, and I was getting so much business from that little group of ladies that, shoot, that $10 investment, that went a long way. So then I started thinking, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna take a tip from Jason Abrams, and I'm just gonna do what I can do to spend more time with these ladies. But then I need to get to know them on an intimate level, because even, you know, even that's kind of a big crowd. And, I don't know everybody there. So I started a breakfast club. And y'all, I'm a breakfast person. That's like my favorite meal of the day. I'll eat breakfast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it just makes sense that I would have it for breakfast and then use it as a vehicle to meet other ladies. And I was very clear. I'm like, we're not promoting business. We have no agenda for meeting. This is literally, we are having breakfast and we're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. And then we're going to go, then, we'll meet again next week. So this breakfast club, it was kind of slow starting. It was kind of slow to start, but I found, there's like this within the little bunko group of ladies, there was a whole bunch that also wanted to connect with other people, that also had social anxieties with like the big crowd. And they were like, oh my gosh, like, I've been looking for a group like this. I've been looking for ways that I can get to know people better and make friends this way. So without even knowing it, I was like fulfilling a need for other ladies in my community. And already, like, I've gotten so much business from that breakfast group. And then, I had the problem of like my enormous, outrageously huge community. Like, how do I meet people there? It's such a big neighborhood. But I have this marketing background. And so what I did is I arranged a community garage sale, because I kept seeing it come up on the forum. They're like, is any, I'm having a garage sale. And I was thinking, well, you guys want to do like a community garage sale? I'll promote it. I've got this, I know how to do this. And so I just like rallied the neighborhood, and I was like, okay, y'all just put your address in the comments, and I will I'll create the Facebook event. I will create a little flyer for everybody. I'll promote it on the usual Craigslist, the forums, Nextdoor, and I'll put a flyer over at the local convenience store. The community newspaper will have a list as well. I will do all the promotion for it. Y'all just let me handle it. And I had like 23 homes, I think, on the last one. So I do this twice a year. And on the day of the garage sale, I just buy, a couple of donuts for everybody, or kolaches or whatever, and pastries. And I visit every single house that is, that's on the list, just so that I can meet everybody. And what I've found is that they're so grateful that somebody else is doing the marketing and promotion for that, because that's not their gifting, but it's mine. Like, I can do that. And when I talk with these other homeowners, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing that. Man, that was a lot of work. And I'm like, no, it was nothing. It's nothing. I do this all the time for my listings. This is exactly how I promote my listing. And they're like, oh, cool. And then I like have all of their names and addresses, and I add them to my Christmas card list at the end of the year. And so here I'm spending like a couple $100s a month in doing these like little things
Instead of 1,200, right?
instead of $1,250 a month in
And
lead.
you doubled your business. That's the other thing I think it's important to know. It's about quality, not quantity. And so you pouring into these people and really figuring out your niche and feeling natural, like you doubled your business with way less effort, right?
So much fun. And it's
Right.
so much fun. You know, like I am actually having fun doing this. It's totally in my zone. So, you know, the most important thing that, you know, if I could just drive this home to everybody is first and foremost, just be yourself. And for some of us, like for me, it took me a long time to figure out like who I am. And because the other person that I was trying to be was just wearing me out, honestly. And it was wearing everybody else out too, let's just be honest. Um, but really, you're the only one that can do what you can do, and you are the only one that can offer that gift. And so you just need to like hurry up and give it to everybody, and they'll just totally love it because only you can do it. And, you know, just take it from me, copying someone else equals burnout super fast, like doesn't take long.
Mhm.
And if you are yourself, you just will be way more fun. Like everybody has more fun, you have more fun, and you just like totally have much more fun getting out of bed in the morning.
So I wanted to ask you, so if I'm listening right now and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I love this. I want to be myself, like I'm ready to do this. Where would you suggest people start?
Um, I would suggest that start with like asking yourself like what is it that I do well? You know, what is it that I love to do? What is it that I do well? And in what are the things that I absolutely hate and why?
Mm,
I didn't put that in the slide and I probably should have.
that's a good
The
one.
Because I had to like really get to the heart of like why am I getting anxiety like like throw up in your mouth kind of anxiety when I go to these chamber events. And the behavior around it was just like comedy. Like we should do a movie about that. It's like pure comedy. Um, and and then, you know, like what I was trying to do is find a workaround. I still need to use at the end of the day, y'all, like whether you have anxiety or not, like you still have to meet people, but you have to do them in a way that just works for you and that really makes your soul sing. And take it from me, leads from those people at the breakfast table are way easier than any of the leads that I got from those 1,200, 1,250 leads. Oh my God, the $15,000 I was spending on those leads. Those leads were, I had to work for those and they were hard. And I was competing with other agents and it sucked. But when I'm, you know, meeting with these ladies at Bunko, or I'm meeting with my community at the garage sale, you know, at the community garage sale, and I'm, you know, those leads are so much more, it's just so much more fun to work with those people. And because they know me and I don't have to give them the hard sell on who I am. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have to like I still am pushing for the 3% compensation to me and to the buyer's agent. So I still have to communicate my value, the marketing plan that I'm presenting, that I intend to use to sell their home, and the work that I'm going to do it. There's no doubt about that. But the actual connection and the entire transaction is just so much more fun. We just have a lot of fun. Um, and really and truly at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you to get out of bed in the morning. Because I've been there. I've been in the spot where I just didn't want to get out of bed.
I love what you said. Like think about what you hate, right? So if you're trying to think about your lead source, like, yeah, what you said, what makes your heart sing, what feels really authentic. Like you said, if it's not in alignment with who you are, don't do it. If the script's not in alignment, don't do it. There's thousands of different ways to do this stuff. So if the script doesn't fit, throw it out. Like if you're feeling a bunch of resistance towards something, don't immediately think like, oh, it's a limiting belief or something's wrong with me, or if I just do it this way. Maybe find if there's a path of least resistance or an easier way you can achieve the same results, and then throw that whole thing out, or try it for a little bit and really make it intentional. If it doesn't work, it's not a fault of yours, and like you said, I think the overall message is just like, be yourself, be authentic, and then you can double your business like Chrissy and get 17 listings. So
What? How did that happen?
oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Right. Well, I think it's coming from a place of abundance, right? Instead of scarcity, which is hard to do when you are struggling to pay your bills or feel like you're not hitting your goals. And yet when you're coming from abundance, it can be easier to close stuff.
And the reality is, y'all, there is enough business for everybody, and you get to decide how your business is going to go. Nobody gets to dictate how you're going to work it.
So again, thank you, Chrissy. Thanks for everybody for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tyler.
Yep. We'll see you next week, guys.